So when I was a kid, when I first moved to America, I was 9 years old, and I moved to Las Vegas from Sri Lanka, and I didn't really speak English when I first moved here. But I remember I learned how to be almost fluent in English over a summer just by watching Disney Channel. I never had electricity or TV in my village. So when I first got here, I had my own room and a TV, and I was like, "Damn, this is amazing!" They have cartoons, which I really haven't, had a chance to see where I was from. So I was like really instantly hooked on TV. But the only problem was when I first got here, I didn't understand that much English. But I got lucky because Disney Channel at the time had this thing where they were doing 12-hour programming windows. So they would play the same cartoon in the morning, and at night they would show the same exact episode. So what I did was I would like watch the episode, and I would take notes, and I would like try to write down the parts of the story that I didn't understand, or some words that I didn't understand, and then I would ask my mom, "Yo, what does this word mean, or what does that word mean? What were they talking about in this context?" And then she would try to do her best to explain all these ideas to me. And at night, I would rewatch those cartoons again. And by the time I went to elementary school, I was pretty fluent in English verbally. Of course, I couldn't spell or write as well because that's not what I studied. I just studied, not studied. I guess I was just like watching TV, and they don't really teach how to write or read with TV. But I understood how to speak conversationally in English. And as I, continued on to the school system, I noticed some of the kids that didn't speak English kept not speaking English for a long time. And it wasn't as though if I was like smarter than these kids. I just felt like I did something a little bit differently than the kids that struggled with English for a long time. So I knew like there was got to be like some secret ways for people to learn faster. And I discovered one of those secrets when I was little, and this I was like instantly fascinated with this idea of like, hey, you can like speed this thing up just by changing a few things. As I grew older, this fascination with like learning things faster and faster never left me. So when I went to college, I studied neuroscience, and now as a teacher, I experiment with teaching and learning on like pretty much a daily basis. I've noticed a few things, and I think something really interesting is happening with accelerated learning right now with AI, and I want to share what I've learned over the last year or two about AIs with you guys so we can continue to experiment and try to learn things a lot faster because I think we're reaching a very interesting time to be a human being where the possibility of skills that is unlocked for you is incredible. Whereas before you would need to spend 10, 20 years learning a skill to mastery, now you can learn, 10, 20 different skills over the, 10, 20 years and combine those skills and ideas into something very unique. The time it took you to become a master at one skill before, you can, let's say it took you 20 years to do that. Now you can do that in like 1 year because AIs are able to take some of the tedious things that was usually required by masters to be able to do in their head. And now we have external tools to kind of do those tedious things for us. And now it's only necessary to know the deep fundamentals of things. Think of this idea like if you ever played D&D or Dungeons and Dragons, the the skills that you learn as you level up become more and more powerful. So as you take, in Dungeons and Dragons, there's 20 levels that a character can get. The skills that you learn at level 1 is going to be weak compared to the skills that you can learn at level 20. So if you're like a level 1 magician, you're going to be relegated to really basic skills. And if you're a level 20, you're like really powerful, like almost like a god level character where you can do incredible things. So the same idea is true in like real life too. If you spend 1 year learning something, you're pretty decent at it. But if you spend 20 years learning something, then you become like amazing at it, like better than 99% of the population at it. But now with AI, what happens is if you take one level of mage, you gain access to level 20 magic. If you take mage your first year, and then you take barbarian your next year. Well, now you have a level 20 barbarian and a level 20 mage, and you can combine their skills together to do like amazing things. So the time scale of learning things has been condensed. What happens now is you just got to focus on unlocking that first level where you understand the fundamentals, and then you can use generative AI and AI tools to help you get to those like higher level projects, because they can do that parts for you, and you can just kind of guide it. Let's say you're trying to do art. If you don't have the fundamental skills of like perspective, like line drawings, color theory, proportions, lighting, you're not going to be able to use generative AI to get to that 20th level, master level stuff, because you're only going to be stuck with what the AI gives you. You're not going to be able to alter it. You're not going to be able to change it to fit the vision that you want it to, like, the vision that you want your art to eventually be. But if you have like the fundamentals down, if you have unlocked the first level of art where you understand the very basic things that make up good art, and you have a good eye for it and you have a good taste for it, now you can use generative AI kind of like your interns. It's almost having like, 20, 30 of the world's most average, mediocre interns at your disposal, and then the things that they generate you can take in and you can edit and create things that are unique to you. So now that we have unlocked army of interns that can kind of give us parts of projects that we can kind of put together, how do we use this ability to kind of up level the things that we're kind of doing, right? Before generative AI and this age of AI that we were living in, I think the best strategy was to get really, really good at one thing and plug into an organization or a team that could use your skill and combine it with other people's skills to create some like really good, like grand project, like a video game or business or something interesting, right? But the strategy moving forward for the age of AI and in the next 10, 20, 30 years in our economy, I think it's going to be for people to learn the fundamental skills of a business or a big project, and then stack those fundamental skills on top of each other to create something much more interesting than what they were able to do by themselves. So whereas before you were like either a violinist or a drummer or a flute in an orchestra, now you have to become kind of like a conductor, where you're having generative AI create pieces of a project for you, and then you're combining that piece with other pieces using other AIs, and you're kind of creating a bigger project. I think everyone's gonna need to up level their fundamentals, and they're gonna need to up level their skill tree. We were essentially trying to stack skills on top of each other to where you're creating something that is very unique to the project that you're working on. If you want to get ahead of 99% of the people by using AI, what you need to do is you want to create a project that's kind of hard right now for you to finish, because you don't have the necessary all the skills, and then figure out how you can use generative AI to create parts of that project for you. And then if you don't know how to combine these generative AI pieces together into your final product, that means that you are lacking the fundamental skills in a certain thing. One of the most important things to think about when it comes to using generative AI is to not stop at the prompt level. So what most people do is they type something into ChatGPT or Midjourney or some other AI tool, and they get an output and they're kind of done with the output. And if the AI doesn't give them something that they want, they'll just retry it until they get something close to what they want. But I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think the better way to do it is to use a bunch of different AIs, put in a prompt, and then have that AI give you back the result. And what you want to do is not stop at the result. What you want to do is think of those results kind of like pieces of like little Lego bricks in something that you're trying to create. So if I type something in, it'll give me a house. And then if I type another thing, it'll give me a tree. And I don't actually take the whole tree or the whole house. What I do is I take the little bricks inside that created that tree, and I'll combine those together in a way that that's how I envision the project to be at the end. In this way, what you're doing is you're using your own discernment, your taste to create something unique that an AI wouldn't be able to do. And I think this is kind of like where the value in the next economy is going to be. It's going to be where humans are going to be able to work really closely with machines to create value where there wasn't any before. Think of it as in terms of like supply demand economics. When the supply is infinite, because everyone has access to ChatGPT and other generative AI systems, what's going to be valuable is the human input. What's going to be valuable is the human taste. What's going to be valuable is the human synthesis and analysis and what the humans do, because essentially the only thing that's going to be valuable in the future when we live in a world of abundance is going to be human time. And the time you put into something and the energy you put into something is going to be the thing that actually creates value in the economy, because everything else is going to be free. Everything else is going to be very, very, very abundant. And the thing that is not going to be abundant is your unique voice, your unique way of seeing things, your unique way of putting things together. That's not going to be available anywhere else, but through your hands and through your eyes and through your orchestration of these AI systems together. So the best way to get ahead of 99% of the population is to kind of learn some of these AI tools now, because I guarantee you that if you start learning some of these things now, it'll kind of give you an advantage that you can keep for a long time. All right, guys, let's see you on the next one. Bye.